Hey guys, I'm here with my dad, Jer. Say hi.
Hello.
And we are going to tell you guys a little bit more about him and his kidney disease. We thought that we would just do a background story, just his story, and then we would do a questions video in another video, just so you guys could get to know him a little bit better. So he's kind of nervous.
Well, I guess basically I want to give everybody a history of my health over my lifetime and how I got to the point that I'm at now. Basically, I was born with health issues that revolved around my kidneys. Nobody knew what was wrong with me for quite a few years. As a sophomore in high school, I got pretty sick, ended up in the hospital, and they diagnosed me with some nephritis in my kidneys and said I'd grow out of it. Well, that wasn't necessarily true. I just continued to get by. I never really knew what it was like to feel good, and went off to college finally, and during that time, I kind of felt up and down all the time, but I knew that something was ultimately wrong, underlying, health problems, and I wasn't like everybody else. Couldn't tolerate the same amount of things, and eventually, after college, at age 23 actually, I had chronic kidney failure. I was misdiagnosed for a whole year, but when they finally discovered it and put me on dialysis, there was pretty grim notes from the doctors about what my future would be. And I was on dialysis for only a year, and a sister stepped forward and gave me a kidney. So at age 24, with that kidney transplant, within weeks, I felt better than I had in my entire life. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that other people felt that good all the time. For the next 14, 15 years, life was just, one big mystery after another, one big adventure after another. I just loved life and had lots and lots of energy. But at about the 13th year, things gradually started to taper off. My doctors knew it. They knew that I was gradually going into kidney failure and that I was eventually going to lose, some of the function of that kidney. But nobody knew for sure if it would be long lasting or what would happen. Well, I did lose that kidney. Finally got to a point where I had to go back on dialysis.
That's normal though, right?
That's pretty normal, yeah. 15,
for them only to the last
15 years is a pretty good stretch with a transplanted kidney. It was at that time anyway. Today, there's some people doing great that have had kidneys for much longer, but it's kind of wait and watch and see what modern medicine is going to do for kidney transplants, any transplant in fact, and modern immunosuppressive drugs and some other drugs can really help. But I had some pretty good immunosuppressive drugs that helped that kidney last a long, long time. Unfortunately, when I went back on dialysis after I lost that first kidney, I had a lot of high antibodies built up against that kidney, and that's made it very difficult for me. I've got a blood type O positive, which is the most common blood type, and what that does is it makes most O positive kidneys unusable in a transplant situation for me. It doesn't mean that blood type is everything. In fact, in today's world, they use a lot of blood type kidneys that are different, and they have ways of washing the kidneys and kind of tricking the kidneys into accepting a different blood type. More important than anything for me is whether or not I have a reaction to the kidney, to a possible transplant kidney. And that reaction is everything. If a transplanted kidney starts to reject right away, it's hard on not only the patient but the kidney itself. And it's just a difficult situation for the doctors to maintain. So they're always looking for the best possible match out there. For me, it's kind of like a needle in a haystack. I've been on dialysis 13 years now. I've been looking for a kidney most of that time. I've been on the kidney waiting list for both cadaver kidneys and for living donor kidneys. There's been a fair amount of people who've stepped forward and wanted to be tested. Unfortunately, so far, those have been what they call a positive reaction kidney for me. And I have to just accept the fact that we could maybe do a kidney sharing program where that kidney could be used for somebody else and I would be able to accept a closer match. But that's kind of a new program, and it's in its beginning infancy. Pretty good computer program that runs that whole program, but it's not perfect, and there's a lot of adjustments and a lot of things that have to be figured out as they go along. I'm 51 now, and unfortunately for me, now that I'm over 50, time is running out. The older I get, the less desirable it is to transplant me. It's a reality that a lot of dialysis patients have to accept. And I never thought I'd ever be at this point in my life. I never thought that I would be sort of desperate, you might say, for a transplant. I never thought I'd find myself saying, I need a transplant to save my life. But I'm at that point now. I watch other patients who have gradually declined over a period of years that are friends of mine from the dialysis unit, and some of them are in dire shape and others have passed away. It's one of the hardest things to watch. I guess you could say that the life of a transplant, or excuse me, the life of a dialysis patient is always hoping for a transplant, always wishing that they could be the one to ultimately gain that transplant and become healthy again. It's a hard life. There's a lot of pain involved, and no, I can't do anything about it. I just have to live with it. Sometimes it's hard because I wonder how other people view me. People who don't really know me, they don't know my situation. They just see me and make a judgment, And that's been the hardest part to live with. What other people that have good health see in me. And most people, when they find out who I am and what I'm all about, they pretty much accept it and understand it. But dialysis it's a tough road. It's 3 days a week I have to go in and sit there in a chair. I can't leave that chair. I'm in that chair for 4 hours at a stretch, and it's very uncomfortable to sit that long in one spot. I have very restricted diet. I have a restricted amount of fluid that I can drink between dialysis treatments. Weekends are difficult, holidays are difficult.
Traveling.
Yeah. Traveling is one of the things I love to do, and it's almost, one of those impossible situations. It can be done, but there's a lot of arrangement through other dialysis centers, through insurance companies, through doctors. It's just a hard thing to do, so I stick around home, enjoy my weekends the best that I can, and travel throughout the state of Montana where I live, and but I always have to be back. It's like a tether. Got to be back Monday, bright and early, hit that next dialysis treatment. It's been hard on my kids overall. I think that there's been times, it's asking why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? And it's always the same excuse, we got to be back for dialysis. making big plans is just really hard. But we do the best that we can. I have a great family life. I have great extended family as well. They've been very, very supportive of me over the years. Very fortunate that way. I'm looking for another kidney, and I'm open to all options. Anybody who might want to be tested. So it's at least a yearly event where I have to be tested. Everything that they can possibly think of to test me on to make sure that I would survive a transplant operation. I do that. I also have to receive antibody reducing medications, a process called plasmapheresis, where they actually remove all of my white blood cells, all my plasma, and give me somebody else's. That, helps for a given amount of time. My body always replaces it, and I'm back to square one.
So if he doesn't get a kidney by the time that those replace themselves, then he has to do it again, and then hope that he gets a kidney by next time.
Yep.
And he has to fly all the way to California and stay there for how long to do that?
At least 2 weeks.
Every year, just for that.
And that's expensive, and it's also...
My mom has to go to help you, and
it's hard on me, break from my normal routine, go out in the public, lots of appointments. It's just a very busy, very grueling 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks. I enjoy California, but at the same time, I'm always glad to be home.
And he has a lot of doctor's appointments all the time.
Yeah, it's never ending.
He has to take a lot of medicine.
I used to have to take, 15, 16 pills. We've whittled that down, thank goodness, to about a dozen. And
3 times a day, right?
those medications control the amount of toxins that build up in my bloodstream. A lot of people don't realize what dialysis really is. There's different types of dialysis. The type that I do currently is hemodialysis, and that's where you have needles, big needles that go into your arm or leg or someplace where they can draw a lot of blood. All the blood has to circulate through a machine with a filter on it. The filter helps take out waste products. It also helps take out all the liquid that I've consumed since the previous treatment, and it's not perfect. Dialysis just keeps a person alive. It's a taxing situation to be on dialysis 3 times a week for 4 hours a day each time. I have a fistula. It's bandaged up fairly well right now, but you can actually see the large lumps on my arm here. It's what they call an advanced fistula. I've had it for a number of years.
That's where they put the needles in.
A fistula is a tied off vein that backs the blood up intentionally so that they can put larger needles in. When you go to get your blood drawn, that's a tiny needle compared to what I use. My needles are very, very large. If you were to look at the lead in a pencil, that's about the diameter of the needles that go in my arm. And I just get used to it. It's just part of life for me. I do pretty good on dialysis, but I also know what it's like to feel great when I had a transplant.
He feels bad a lot of the time.
I don't always admit how bad that I feel.
He likes to try to pretend to be way stronger than you're strong, but
yeah,
he doesn't like to admit when he doesn't feel good.
Sometimes I don't have a choice. I sleep. Dialysis takes so much out of me that it just, puts me on my back in bed, and I sleep for quite a few hours sometimes. What's normal for one person may never be normal for me, and I know that. I just have to go on thinking, at least I'm alive. Maybe there's a better time in the future for me where I'm alive and feeling good with a transplanted kidney, a healthy kidney. So at this point in my life, I have 3 kidneys in me. I have my 2 native kidneys and a transplanted kidney that finally gave up. And I'm looking for that next kidney.
Fourth kidney's a charm.
I'll have a 4th one, yes. Thank you for your time. If anybody out there ever felt that they wanted to be tested or give a kidney to somebody they didn't know, there are so many opportunities out there. I definitely want to encourage everybody out there to be a kidney donor on your driver's license.
It's not hard, just check yes.
Make that choice, and if something unthinkable would happen, you would leave a legacy behind. You would do more for somebody than you could ever imagine.
There are lots of things that you can do to help. Another place where you can find more information about my dad and his story is his Facebook page, and I'm gonna leave that linked down below. If you'll check it out, go send him some love.
And the National Kidney Organization, they have all kinds of information about what it's like to give a kidney, what it's like to live with 1 kidney, and how healthy people really are. There are many people who have donated a kidney and lived a very, very productive life.
And we will see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Bye.